Okay, so welcome. Excuse me, I'm Stacy. If you don't know me, everyone here knows me, but if you're watching the recording, I'm Stacy. And this class is called Getting What You Want from the Relationship You're In. And it's geared toward mothers, but everything I'm going to share pertains to anyone in a relationship. The difference in motherhood is that the stakes are higher. The stakes are higher when you're parenting. The stakes are higher on your relationship and your own capacity and ability to show up fully. One thing that's like an overarching element of this conversation today, and I have an upcoming program called Mother Fire. It's going to traverse the whole of 2026, but there are different modules. So you can commit for 3 months or you can commit for longer. This is all about boundaries and the role of boundaries in our relationships, in our relationship to sex, our experience of sex, our relationship to an experience of nourishment, meaning like actual food and the way we feed ourselves, and also our ability to write our own story, to self author our own experience. And I'm super excited about it. And one of the things with motherhood that I think is so crucial to understand is that we conceive of boundaries in our culture as a way to keep things out. And I teach from the perspective that boundaries are about what we're keeping in. So if you are leaky, you're going to have a very different experience of motherhood and partnership and sex and food and agency. And what we are doing on a day to day basis is the model. Like our children are learning from us about intimacy and sexuality and commitment and nourishment implicitly. So I know everyone here spends a lot of time, effort, energy, probably money, learning how to communicate with our children, learning how to, make sure that developmentally they're getting everything they need. But it's so much more about how we are inside our own body, how we move through a day, how we navigate conflict, which is inevitable. So that's like the TLDR of the class today. You can sign off if you have to go to work or whatever. You got the bullet points. You can listen in later. Um, but if you're sticking around, I hope you are. We've got some practices and things to do. I want to just extend the invitation that if you have an Apple Watch, you take it off, put it somewhere else. Um, if you have a phone on your person, put it somewhere else. This is one of the most uh, pervasive sources of boundary rupture for mothers. Being constantly available to everyone and everything when you don't need to be. Like that's a choice we make on a day to day basis to be constantly available for a fucking email, for whatever. And it's part of what it does, right? There's this like constant interruption to any amount of attention span we might have intact. But also, it creates this tension in our nervous systems as though we're just one breath away from an emergency happening that we have to respond to. Right? Like I convince myself I need my watch on because what if something happens at school and my kids need me? Okay, what if something happens at school and my kids need me? The school also has my husband's number. They also have my parents' number. I will check my phone probably in the next 30 minutes. Like everybody's going to be fine. My children are also at a place where I trust the adults. And that has literally never happened. There has never been an emergency so great that I had to go right now. So just again, leaky boundaries, porousness, making ourselves available when we don't need to be, and starting to shore up those parts of ourselves that are the easiest to respond to. I'm trying so hard to teach my children how to like be part of the flow of taking care of our house, right? Like this is your room, you're responsible for it. They're 4 and 6, so my expectations are low, but also like you can put your shit away. My son, his room was a disaster. My daughter, same thing. They walk in and they're just immediately in tears, like, I don't know how to do this. I need help. It's such a mess. And I was like, pick the easiest thing. You just look at one thing that you know where it goes, and you start with that. And you just do that over and over. And that's like essentially nervous system repatterning work. We get frozen and avoidant when it seems like this huge monster that we have to defeat right now. It's not. It's one bite at a time. It's one breath at a time. It's one moment at a time. So just meet that in your own body. Notice how that lands for you in your breathing. What is it like to hear that you can take some pressure off? Most of you know this about me already, but I'll just reiterate. I teach to who's in the room. So you're welcome to use the chat. You're welcome to come off mute. I want you to participate. There will be like prompted participation, but also throughout the teaching. That's how I like to conduct a space. So just know that you're welcome to chime in so that this also becomes more specific to you and meaningful to you. With that, why don't you type into the chat your name? Anything you want to share about why this sounded like a good way to spend an hour? This is a way for you to also locate yourself in this time and space where we're together. Why are you here? You don't need to write a paragraph about what's going on in your relationship, but, you know, acknowledge where you're coming from. Anybody wants to share with their voice, you're welcome to. I see the shares coming in. Oh. S, I don't know who you are, but thank you so much for that sweet share. Relationships are fucking hard. Claire. Yeah, overwhelmed and burnt out. Anybody share that feeling? Amy. Yeah, my anxiety began when I had two, when I went from one to two. Yeah. Hi, Sarah. Mm, yeah, the guilt about taking time away from our family. Thanks, Madeline. I'm so glad you're here. Ah, well, let's move into a short practice. Here's this sort of naming why we're here. We've got the basic rundown of what the context is for our time. And I just invite you to come back into your body. If you're leaning towards the computer, even unconsciously, just lean back onto your own sits bones. You can be laying down if you're in that position already. But I invite you to get in your body a little bit more. You might even wiggle your hips side to side. And then roll your shoulders back. Most of us have a lot of our activity when you connect to your body. It's like, I'm aware of my head most of the time. I'm not always aware of my body. It takes a little bit of time for that attention and presence to seep in. And I really like that image whether it's water seeping into soil or a stone falling through water. Just let your attention and presence seep into your body. Become aware of the fact of your pelvis or other body parts against ground, against support. And see if you can let your body be supported 5 to 10% more. Notice sensation. What is your experience of your body? And if that invitation isn't clear or accessible right now, you can consider the imagery that comes when you drop into your body as though you were surveying a map or a landscape. What's it like here? Without making meaning of it, deciding if it's good or bad. And really simply come up with a word or a phrase that more or less describes this experience. And then come into that layer of your experience, which is emotional feelings, emotions, mood. And it's where you're at in this moment. Maybe it's already shifted from where you were at when we began, but where are you now? What's present? You might notice that mood also in body tension. So if you are able to access or contact body sensation, you might notice a correlation there. And come up with a really simple word or phrase to describe this layer of your experience, the emotional body. And next, we're moving into the realm of thinking. One way to check in with the quality of your thoughts that might give a little space so you don't get swept away is like clouds in the sky. How are the clouds moving? Are they dark? Are they heavy? Are they wispy? Right? What are the thoughts, words present for you today? And sometimes I realize that I confused my feelings for my thoughts. What would be a simple way to describe your mental body today? It's not right or wrong. And finally, the realm of more intuition. It's subtler than thought. It's sort of maybe your spidey sense. What do you have access to in this moment? The self beyond the self. We are here to notice what is here, not to reach for something, not to force anything. And how might you describe this? And then as we come back into the body, you might imagine these layers like nesting dolls. So This intuitive body, nesting inside the mental body, nesting inside the emotional body, nesting inside the physical body, until you're back here with all of it. Maybe bring a hand to your chest or your belly or anywhere that feels good. Inhale long, slow, and deep. An option to sigh out or simply exhale through your nose. Here you are. Here we are together. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed for a moment longer. Just slowly come back by blinking your eyes open. Let your eyes go away from the screen for a moment. Mhm. When we are in this conversation about relationships, one of the primary layers I'm interested in is the way we learned to relate from the earliest moments of our lives. The things we learned implicitly about what is required of us in order to be loved. And as children, we all do this all throughout our lives, but for children, the stakes are so high to be accepted. It's like that animal, that little, like, we'll say jaguar cub because you all know Kimberly Johnson is my teacher, and that's the vibe. The little jaguar cub just like trying to make sense of the world immediately in order to not be eaten by a predator, in order to not get left behind. Your nervous system is the same. And as children, human children were way more vulnerable than a wild animal. So the stakes are high. And we learn to relate in a variety of ways. I don't approach any of this as though like we're assuming everyone had a shitty childhood or that like the ways that your parents raised you was full of mistakes. Like we're here with the experiences that we had. And when you have had perhaps a lot of conditioning around what love looks like or means, there's something that happens where we join behaviors with meaning when they don't inherently carry that meaning. So we learn that having attention on us all the time is a good thing, or being approved of all the time, behaving in a way that's pleasing to others is how we get love and attention and affection and care. And then we become adults and we start shaking off some of that. We learn that being a good girl totally sucks and it's soul sucking. And then we have a child, and all of our sense of structure and like solidity in who we are is completely obliterated. And so we revert back to the oldest and most sturdy structures, which were playing by other people's rules. There's like this internal tussle that happens when it comes to our partnerships in motherhood. We're absolutely dealing with these childhood patterns. And there's a lot of language about remothering, which I'm all for. There's not enough language around reparenting. Because while you are acting from a place of being a child, so is your spouse. And there's a lot of like bitching amongst women that, like, I feel like I'm his mother. Well, you are. He married you because you are his mother. You married him because he is your daddy. You're trying to work shit out. You're trying to fix the pattern that didn't go well. It's a nervous system reality. We are recapitulating an incomplete experience in order to get a new result, but we are largely unaware of that pattern until we are. And then we have to interrupt the pattern. And we have to do it slowly and safely and consistently with sturdiness. You have to be your grown, wise adult self. That's the worst part. You have to be the adult. In my opinion, that's the worst part. God damn it. There's a lot of grief, obviously, in this. Y'all have heard me talk about grief plenty, but it can't be overemphasized. There's grief in holding the part of you that is so disappointed and hurt that you didn't get what you needed. And now, like, why do I have to ask for it? And why do I have to wait for it? And why isn't it coming in the ways that I want it to? And the reality that you're an adult and you either stay in this relationship and work on it or you don't. But we are so either or in our culture. It's all or nothing. That's why things are so stressful and so overwhelming. There's no room for error. And then we reach this threshold in a relationship where it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. Or this isn't what I thought I was choosing. We don't culturally have a lot of capacity to sit in that destabilization and broaden our perspective of what's going on, because that high stakes trauma, developmental trauma, whatever, long-term conditioning gives us tunnel vision. We literally cannot see other options. So somatic work is all about experiencing options in the way that I take care of myself, hold myself, set the boundary, draw the line, communicate. And your primary boundary is your sense of self, which again, you become a parent, it gets pretty obliterated. So all of this work is about that, not to get too like high level, but it's soul work, right? Your soul is what is going to magnetize all of these essential parts of you back so that you can feel intact. Echolocating that part of yourself takes time, and it takes diligence, and it takes community, and it takes oxytocin. It takes joy. It takes smut, in my case. Love it so much. I know, Gina, you love it so much. I didn't mean to out you, but it's a place where we connect, and I appreciate that so much about you. It's shaking your ass wildly to music. Irene, I see you. I'm going to out all of you for your best qualities. So again, our experiences that were overwhelming or predominant in terms of relationship give us tunnel vision in terms of what we're able to see in our present relationship. So I just want to do this quick practice with you. Orienting, also an opportunity to get away from the screen, get back into experience. Take your eyes away from the screen and into the space where you are. And if you're, maybe there's clutter or you feel kind of overwhelmed by the space, take your eyes to where the ceiling meets the wall and slowly trace that line, moving toward allowing that external visual to come to you instead of chasing it with your eyeballs. Let the external visual come to you instead of reaching for it with your eyes, and notice what happens next. Notice what is happening for you inside. Sometimes it helps me to close my eyes to check in there. And you've got this reference point that we cultivated at the beginning. What is happening for you physically and or emotionally and or mentally. And you're welcome to share any comments or thoughts about that or anything that you've heard so far. I had the chat covered up, so I'm just coming back to it. I love what y'all have written in here, Irene, Gina. I didn't see those comments earlier. Yeah. How are y'all doing? What are you hearing? What is arising for you? Feel free to come off mute. Feel free to ask any questions. We're going to get up and moving in a moment here. Clear as mud. Yeah. I'll give a little more context for this conversation about parenting and partnering. The culture we're in at large, I've referenced it, but for millennia, the orientation in the culture has been that of the dynamic between men and women is largely men taking from women. An entitlement, like women held in a position of just being available. Take that in for a moment. You know, this initial layer of provocation to whatever degree that feels true for you. I have seen almost exclusively, right, an incredible amount of rage and uproar and upheaval and trauma response to the news. We'll just say the news. And what is really significant to me about it is yes, this is something every woman on planet Earth knows deeply in her bones. It's a history we all share, whether it's in this body or not. It could have been in your mother's body. It could have been in your great great grandmother's body. We all know this history somehow. And one of the biggest challenges in healing, in relating, in maintaining a long term committed partnership is discerning between then and now, that and this. Giving ourselves and our partners and our children permission to be who they are rather than projecting onto them who we're afraid they might be. A huge, powerful, almost completely reliable way to interrupt that process, which is mental. It's thinking, it's the thoughts that go, whoosh, right? They just instantly pull you, is simply being in your body, getting into the density of your bones, the fire of your muscles and blood, the capability of your movement is such a huge, potent way to interrupt. So just even now, like wiggle. Notice how much of this you're taking in intellectually versus viscerally, right? Like, I want to growl. How do you feel? This is like juicy stuff here. So discernment becomes the primary thing, the primary task. And we have lots of tools at our disposal. If you are, one thing that I worry about, I'm just going to emphasize this point a little bit because it seems really up right now. We have to have our anger. We have to be able to hold space for and express what is not working, what we do not have space for, what we do not want, what we will not tolerate. And I really encourage all of us to not make hating men our whole personality. Like, that is what's happening. Hating men is becoming like women at large's whole personality. And it's not helpful. There's also the fact, right? It's like toggling between what happened and what is happening. I'm certain that each of you had an experience in your life where your no, the word no, your limit, no, was not heard. It was not respected, and maybe it wasn't even allowed. at risk of great harm. And that harm could have been your mom being angry with you, which, if you're a child, that's great harm. That's scary. Please come back to me. Please, please, please look at me. I need you. We're working this out with our partners, this repair. Please come back to me. Please look at me. Please don't turn away. Please don't walk away. From a place of a child who you are responsible for, not your partner. You're responsible to give them the information they need to show up as an adult with you as an adult. I feel so vulnerable right now when you turn around. Could you please just stay there and look at me for a moment while I collect myself? That's how you honor both. So we're going to get in our bodies. We're going to yell, but we're going to work up to it. I want to say this one more thing because I wrote it down this morning and it felt meaningful to me. We end up in this tug of war between belonging and safety and our own freedom, especially as mothers. They are not mutually exclusive. Your role in your household, in your family, is not to be everyone's blood bank. Your role is to hold your line. So there is a structure and a system inside which everyone can flourish. It's also your partner's job, obviously, to echolocate themselves and stand in their own line. But when we're in this like constant, like mushy, collapsing away from one another, it can't happen. So let's find our line, stand up. Time always flies. It drives me crazy. Stand up with your legs like you're straddling a horse. Another way that I think of this is like a sumo wrestler. I really like that image a lot. Just a sumo wrestler with like the biggest legs you've ever seen. Plant your feet firmly on the ground and just take a couple breaths, experiencing what it is to push the ground away with your feet, right? Maybe engage your quads and your glutes a little bit. And then bend your knees and bounce a little bit so you feel also that your tail is heavy and relaxed. I had pelvic PT yesterday. I'm going to share this image with y'all because it really worked for me. She was doing internal work and she had me take a big deep breath and I squeezed a little on my exhale. And she was like, "Was that intentional?" I was like, "Not really." And she goes, "Okay, try this. Inhale, imagine your vagina is a mouth. And on your exhale, instead of closing your mouth, stick out your tongue." I loved that. So as you stand here, just feel what that could be, sticking out your vagina's tongue, whatever that is. Just be here in the weight of your body, the depth of your body. And really simple. Sweep your arms out and up as you inhale. And on your exhale, you're going to press your hands down through center, one hand on top of the other, and clear this channel. I like to think of a French press. That visual really works for me. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, stack your hands and push down. Feel your head lighten, your chest lighten, your tailbone get heavier. Do this 3 more times. Nice and slow. Imagine your hands moving through viscous liquid. Take your time. One more. And then take your hands alongside your body with your hands in soft fists. Just bounce your shoulders a little bit, let them relax. Feel your feet press into the ground. Maybe you straighten your legs for a moment. Push the ground away from you. It's your legs that are holding you here, not your jaw, not your shoulders, not your belly, your legs. Take a long, slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, punch an arm forward with a like a like you're fogging up a mirror. Exhale out your mouth. Inhale, bend that arm. Exhale the opposite arm forward. Find a rhythm here. Inhale the elbow back. Exhale the opposite arm forward as you fog up a mirror with your breath. And then find a pace that is just like turning up the pace a couple notches. Turn up the speed a couple notches. Keep this breath. I want you to see your partner in front of you and see if you can move this energy, not from a place of anger, not from a place of force, but from your own center. And then add some voice onto this if possible. Ha, 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 ha. Stay with it. See your partner. And again, engage this energy from a place of your center. Stay with it as emotion arises, as maybe fogginess sets in. Stay with it. Good. And then allow that to settle wherever you are. Place your left hand over your low belly, your right hand over the top of your left. You can straighten your legs if they've remained bent. Soften your eyes so that there's a diffuse focus. Maybe you close them and allow your attention to again descend into the pelvis, descend into the low, low belly. What are you holding here? What do you notice about your body that has changed? What about your experience of yourself is different now? Go ahead and just roll the shoulders out, stretch in any way that feels good. Make your way back to the shared space. I want to make sure that we have time for this closing exercise, which is a writing exercise, but I would really love to hear from you about what that was like. Y'all are quiet this morning.
I will share.
Thank you.
I noticed in myself that I was like, it was like hard for me to fully project in the beginning. Like I was holding back a little bit. Just naturally, that was like the initial response in my body. And I also noticed that like the image of my partner makes me smile because I really love him. And I also notice that like when we're in front of each other, like I just see a lot of play in my system.
Mm, nice.
So that was something I didn't notice unless his image was brought forward in me, but I did notice that like it took intention to be more projecting with when you said like your center. I felt like I wasn't fully in my center. Like I was
Mhm.
making noise, but I wasn't feeling my center of self until I intentionally put myself in that space.
Yeah, that's really good information, isn't it?
Hmm. So I don't know where I am, but not there.
Yeah,
Or like
great.
aware of other things or something.
Well, in that, the way that you're expressing it, I really get the sense that you're holding curiosity about it, which is the most important thing. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know where I am, but I'm not. It actually takes deliberate effort to be in my center. So now you can put a little bit of that deliberate effort in, like one little pebble each hour. Where am I? And what helps me get there? That's what we're tracking. Like the most efficient way to make changes in the context of really complicated things like partnership, like motherhood, is to orient to the simplest things that give us a shot of, oh, there's my belly. There are my legs. That feels good. I like that.
Mhm.
There I am. Ooh, disco Stacy. Um, there's a really uh well, let's go with what's here and then I'm gonna go to the chat. Anyone else want to share with their voice?
I'll share a little bit.
Thank
Oh,
you.
when you talk about this, I get so like childish and whiny. Like I feel like you're like like not you, but like it's like someone has you in a headlock. They're like giving you a noogie, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do the work. It just get like really childishly whiny. Like, but is it me? But maybe it's like him, or maybe like why is it so hard? Like my
Yeah.
voice actually changes. It felt a lot better to be in action, and
Yes. Stop right there.
yeah, okay.
Full stop. I want to hear what else you have to say, but I want everyone else to hear this. It felt a lot better to be in action. Period. Yes, it does. Because we are also working with this, like, why do I have to do it? Mom, why do I have to clean my room? You have to put your book on the shelf. That's it. Start there. Put your fucking book on the shelf that's right there. That's actually how I talk to my kids. I don't know if I should be outing myself about that, but put your fucking book on the shelf. Mom, you said the F word. Except usually my daughter tells me that I said the S word, which I think is so cute because the S word is bad. So when I say fuck, she says, you said the S word. Okay. Irene, go ahead. What else, my girl?
No, that's all. I think that's a good place.
There's great commentary in the chat when it came time to direct this energy to the partner. Oh shit, I don't want to hurt him. It's somatic experiencing language over coupling between boundary, strength, agency equals negative, equals aggressive, equals harm. No, it does not. It can when it comes from a place of dominance and wanting to squash someone else. But what we're talking about is holding yourself upright so that you are actually relating to your partner as yourself. It's really tender to navigate that territory of our voice specifically and how to use it in a way that is not harmful, which I think most of us get to a point where it's like we're going along, we're keeping the peace, we're doing so good, and then and we actually do say something really cunty that we should apologize for. And, again, it's like this binary, it's either or. I'm either appeasing or I'm attacking. And your life exists in between those things. Your agency, your partnership exists between those two things. So it's having the opportunity to slow down and interrupt yourself many times a day. Where is my center? What am I doing in this moment that feels good to me? Because when you have that sense of resource of like, God, I'm so grateful for this office that I have that is mine. I'm so grateful for this tree outside my window. Like, I truly, truly love this tree. And I let that settle all the way in. And usually that gives me motivation to like go for a walk or do something that feels good to me. And then I'm just responding differently to life instead of that sort of tunnel vision, head down, get through the tasks, do what you're supposed to do, come up with something to fucking feed everybody tonight. Ah, the dinner thing, y'all. We've just started doing fridge dinner like twice a week, where I just literally take everything out of the fridge and put it on the dining table and say, eat, eat what you want. If something requires heating up, that's fine. But like, I can't come up with something. Um, Anybody else before we move into our last practice? This is one that I'm excited about. I'm excited about all of it, but this feels special. Any questions about anything? Is there anything that's not lining up for you? Oh, here's a quote from a man named Jim Harrison. He says, "There is apparently a fragile bridge between expecting nothing and wanting everything." Apparently, there's this really delicate place in between expecting nothing and wanting everything. We may resolve to give up our expectations about how we want a parent or partner to respond to us, only to find ourselves hoping that this time they'll treat us differently. Woven through this inner emotional tension, connected by this swaying bridge between relinquishing expectation and wanting love, are the family and individual stories that make up the landscapes of our lives. We're looking into what is in between these binaries, this polarity of I'm either happy with you or I'm hurt by you. I want you to make a list. You can choose, right? You can choose where you want to work. If you want to work with a parent, that's fine. If you want to work with your partner, that's fine. Make a short list of what you wanted in the relationship and didn't get. It doesn't need to be an exhaustive list, but get at least like 3 things down. And make another list of the things that you've gotten that are most valuable to you. And as we move into this short writing practice, more may reveal itself. If you have the feeling, particularly for this most recent prompt of like wanting to keep writing, that's excellent. Take some of the most potent things from this list, these 2 lists, and make a poem out of them. And I'm encouraging you to consider this element of tension, right? We're often in this very narrow view of our life, of our partner, of, our parents, our capabilities. I'm just asking you to open it up through the tension, right? There's this things that I didn't get There's disappointment, and there's things that I got that have been so meaningful. So I want you to write a short poem. Try not to worry your pretty little head about your skills as a poet or a writer. And allow yourself this freedom right now to actually say the fucking thing. Be explicit in your feelings about it, in your anger about it, in your gratitude about it. Be fearless in your writing. It'll take about 5 minutes. just go ahead and start winding down. You might feel complete already. When you are complete, at least in a technical sense, you can see if there's a title that you want to give this piece of writing, distilling it into a simple phrase. I find I struggle a lot with titles, so try not to belabor it too much. Then sit back into your body. That could mean actually leaning back. It could mean a little wiggle just to bring your experience of your legs, your arms, your spine back online, your face. Ah, expand your perspective away from just your thoughts. Ah, nice big sigh. And then the option is there for you to close your eyes if that doesn't feel supportive right now. You can keep your eyes open, but allow them to settle in a soft way over something that is pleasing to you. An open window or a flower, an object in your space that you love. I want you to fill in the blank for the following 3 phrases and don't think about it. Just fill in the blank. First phrase is I am. You can say it out loud, you can write it down, but more importantly, allow it to emerge from you. I am. The next phrase, fill in the blank, is I want. And the last phrase is I need. To close our time together, I'm going to read a poem called There Will Be by Harriet Selena. Oceans, waiting rooms, rages at men and God, friends that forget your birthday, walk you home, phone calls that slice you open, hands that remake you, roads of mind and clay, bodies coming, going, lust and mundanity, give and take. I can't say the good will cancel out the terrible, but I can say it's there. And if you let it be, it's enough. So I'm going to stay on the call for about another 15 minutes, but I'm going to end it here for us for the specific conversation. I'm so grateful that you were here. I'm so honored to spend time with you in this conversation, and I really thank each of you for your participation and your loveliness coming out of the woodwork for after a long time, some of you. So I'll end the recording here, and if you want to stick around and ask any questions about this or learn about Mother Fire, I'm going to answer questions about that too. Thank you all.
Thank you.